All right, so today let's dive into first impressions. It's something I think we can all relate to.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at some excerpts from a text about a character. His name is Alex, and he's getting ready for a pretty high-stakes job interview.
Oh, wow.
And along the way, he learns about the science behind,
Mm.
those crucial first encounters. So think of this as like a deep dive into not just how to make a good first impression, but the why behind it all, the
Wait,
science.
the science behind it.
Yeah.
Because it really doesn't matter if it's a job interview, a date,
Like,
just meeting somebody new at a party, like all those first few seconds
yeah,
can totally set the tone for the whole interaction.
absolutely. And it is kind of wild how much is going on under the surface in
Mhm.
those initial moments. Our source material actually starts with Alex waiting outside the office building where his interview is about to happen. And he's like, oh, feeling those pre-interview jitters.
Oh, yeah.
But then he remembers this study from Oregon State University that just totally changes his thinking.
Yeah. The 20-second rule.
No. The 20-second rule.
It's wild. They found that people can form lasting judgments about you in just 20 seconds or even less.
Seconds. It's hard to believe, right?
It is, but the research suggests that these snap judgments are rooted in our evolution, our evolutionary past. Like, think about it. Our ancestors, they had to quickly assess whether a stranger was friend or foe, the ones who could accurately judge trustworthiness, potential threats, they were more likely to survive. So over time, our brains developed this incredible ability to process vast amounts of information in an instant, especially when meeting someone new.
Wow, so we're like hardwired to make these quick judgments.
Yeah.
But it's not just about superficial things. The researchers in that Oregon study
Yeah.
found that people who watched short clips of job candidates entering a room actually rated them almost the same as those who saw the entire interview.
Exactly. It's not just about appearances. We subconsciously pick up on a whole range of cues, posture, facial expressions, even like micro movements, all of which contribute to that initial impression.
So how does Alex use this to his advantage? The text talks a lot about body language and how it can convey confidence, even before you say a word. In fact, before even entering the building, Alex catches himself, hunching over and fidgeting.
Classic signs of nervousness, but also things that can be easily misinterpreted as a lack of confidence or even untrustworthiness.
Yeah, and so he remembers what he learned about pride posing.
Ah, yes, this technique. This comes from the work of social psychologist Amy Cuddy, and she found that adopting expansive, open postures, even for just a few minutes, can actually lower stress hormones like cortisol and increase testosterone, the hormone associated with confidence and dominance.
Right, and the text highlights how Alex actually puts this into practice. He stands up straight, rolls his shoulders back, lifts his chin slightly, basically taking up more space.
It's not about being arrogant or intimidating. It's about projecting an aura of self-assurance and presence.
Yeah.
So by simply adjusting his posture, Alex is able to shift his internal state and present himself more confidently to the world.
It's like his body language is doing the talking before he even steps into the interview room. And the text specifically mentions that he continues to be mindful of his posture throughout the whole interview process.
Which is key, because those nonverbal cues continue to influence the interaction even after the initial 20 seconds. Consistent, confident body language reinforces that first impression and helps build trust over time.
Now, once Alex actually gets into the interview room, there's that crucial moment, the handshake. He's read that this can make or break an interaction.
It is fascinating how such a simple gesture can carry so much weight. A good handshake can convey warmth, confidence, a willingness to connect. But a weak or fumbled handshake can have the opposite effect, leaving a negative impression. That can be hard to shake off.
Well, Alex initially overthinks it. He's actually worried about messing it up. But then he remembers the source material's handshake equation.
Right. It recommends a handshake that's firm but not crushing, with full palm-to-palm contact lasting about 2 to 3 seconds, and accompanied by good eye contact. It should feel natural and engaging, like a brief mutual acknowledgement of respect.
And this is where Alex's story takes a humorous turn. He actually ends up practicing his handshake
Wow.
with a random person in the lobby.
Oh, wow.
But the practice pays off because when he meets the interviewer, Ms. Rodriguez, he nails it.
And that one small victory probably did wonders for his confidence going into the interview. Plus, it set the tone for a more positive and relaxed interaction right from the start.
But as we know, first impressions aren't just about physical presence.
Absolutely. What we say and how we say it also plays a significant role in shaping those first encounters. And as Alex is about to discover, a genuine smile can be a powerful tool in that process.
So we've talked about body language, the firm handshake,
Mhm.
and how Alex is already making a great impression. But there's this fascinating point. The source material makes about smiles.
Yeah, it highlights how a genuine smile not only makes you appear more approachable and trustworthy, but can actually be heard in your voice.
That's right. People can literally hear a smile in your voice. This detail really caught my attention because it shows just how deeply our nonverbal cues are connected to how we communicate.
Yeah, there's research suggesting that when we smile genuinely, it engages different muscles in our face, which in turn subtly changes the tone and resonance of our voice. It literally brightens the sound, conveying warmth and positivity.
Okay, I'm definitely going to be more mindful of smiling
Mm.
during phone calls from now on. But back to Alex's interview, the source mentions that Ms. Rodriguez wasn't exactly giving off warm and welcoming vibes at first. She seemed a bit distracted, going through the motions
Yeah.
of the typical interview script.
Yeah, it's something we all encounter at times, those predictable social scripts. That can make interactions feel impersonal and dull.
Right, and it can be tough to break out of those. But that's exactly what Alex manages to do. It's a great example of how you can steer a conversation
Yeah.
in a more authentic direction.
So the text describes how Mrs. Rodriguez asks Alex that standard "where are you from?" question. But he sensed she wasn't truly engaged. Instead of just giving a basic answer, he used it as an opening to connect on a more personal level.
So you mentioned being new to the city and flipped the script by asking Ms. Rodriguez for her favorite local restaurant recommendations.
Brilliant. He turned a potentially boring question into an opportunity to discover common ground and spark a genuine conversation.
And it totally worked. The source describes Mrs. Rodriguez lighting up, and they end up having this lively chat about their shared love of Thai food.
It's a perfect illustration of how active listening and a willingness to deviate from those social scripts can create a much stronger connection. By showing genuine interest and finding that point of commonality, Alex was able to transform the entire dynamic.
Of the interview.
This part of the text made me think about how often we miss those opportunities to really connect with people because we stay stuck in those predictable conversational patterns. Yeah, it's a great reminder to be present and attentive in our interactions, looking for those openings to connect on a more meaningful level. Sometimes it's about asking the right questions. Other times it's about sharing a personal anecdote that relates to what the other person is saying.
So it seems like making
Yeah.
a strong first impression isn't just about mastering a set of techniques. It's about bringing a sense of authenticity to the interaction.
Absolutely. People can sense when someone is being genuine, and that genuineness goes a long way in building trust and rapport.
And it's not just about the beginning of the interaction either. The text emphasizes how Alex made sure to end the interview strong as well.
Yeah, leaving a lasting impression is just as crucial as making a good first impression. It's about solidifying those positive feelings and ensuring the other person remembers you in a favorable light.
Right. The source mentions Alex ending the interview with another confident handshake and expressing genuine enthusiasm for the opportunity.
Yeah, those final moments are your chance to reiterate your interest and leave a memorable mark. It's like the closing statement of your first impression speech.
The text also mentions that Alex followed up with a thank you note, something that could really make you stand out, especially in today's fast-paced world.
Yeah, a handwritten note can be incredibly impactful, but even a well-crafted email or a thoughtful message through a professional networking platform shows that you value the person's time and are genuinely interested in building a connection.
And the follow-up is a great opportunity to reference something specific from the conversation, maybe a shared interest or a joke you both found funny, which further strengthens that bond.
Exactly. It shows you were paying attention and genuinely engaged in the conversation. It's those little details that can elevate your follow-up from generic to memorable.
So this deep dive has shown that, while those first few seconds are undeniably important, the impact of a first impression actually extends far beyond that initial encounter.
It's about the whole package, the nonverbal cues, the words we choose, the authenticity we bring to the interaction, and the effort we make to cultivate a lasting connection.
It seems like we've uncovered a lot about first impressions,
Yeah.
from the way we carry ourselves to the words we choose. Every detail adds to the picture we project to the world.
And you know what I find really interesting is that while there's all this focus on techniques and tips. The most important element is actually something much deeper, authenticity.
Right, because you can have the perfect handshake, practice those power poses, but it doesn't come from a place of genuine confidence and self-awareness. It's just not going to resonate.
Exactly. I remember a part in the text where it describes how Alex realizes that all this preparation, it wasn't about trying to be someone he wasn't. It was about aligning his internal state with his external presentation.
So it's almost like he's using these techniques
Yeah.
to amplify his best self, not create a whole different persona.
Exactly. When you feel comfortable in your own skin and genuinely believe in what you're presenting, it translates into a more natural and engaging presence. And that's what people really connect with.
This deep dive has really changed how I think about first impressions. I used to think it was all split-second judgments, surface-level appearances. But it seems like it's way more nuanced than that.
Yeah, it is. It's a combination of factors: biology, psychology, social dynamics, a little bit of strategy. And while we can't control every aspect of how others perceive us, we can influence those perceptions by being mindful of our presence and the signals we're sending.
So as we wrap up, let's think about putting this into practice. Think about an interaction you have coming up where you want to make a good impression. Maybe it's a job interview, a presentation, a networking event, even just a first date.
And instead of getting caught up in nerves, feeling overwhelmed, focus on one or two key takeaways from our deep dive today. Maybe it's adjusting your posture to project confidence, being more mindful of your smile, or finding a genuine way to break the social script and spark a real connection.
Remember those first 20 seconds. They matter.
Yeah.
But they're just the beginning of the story. By applying these insights and approaching your interactions with authenticity and intention, you can make those first impressions count and open the door to really meaningful connections.